Hey cuties, what's up? We're back with some more reactions after dark, and we're of course going to be watching the disturbing internet horrors of Vietnam, Volume 1, obviously by The Question. They just uploaded this video a couple hours ago, and I was like, I just need something short and sweet to do today, because I'm doing too much stuff today, and I gotta do something tomorrow, so I figured we'll just do this, because it's like, just saw it, it's only 27 minutes, which technically is like way shorter than that's like 20 minutes, so I figured we'd just get into this real quick. Of course, I always love these sound effects. I know we're gonna get like a new little intro here because he always changes it. The garlic exorcism. Hello? Where's my intro? I was just talking about the intros. I guess maybe we're not doing that anymore? Question mark? No more intro? I mean, that's fine, but I was not expecting for that to just be gotten rid of completely. Anyways, the garlic exorcism.
March 5th, 2018 at 3:30 a.m. An apartment in Ba Dinh District, Hanoi. 4 people were gathered in Pham Van Dong's home. Chow Viet Quang, a 40-year-old pop singer. Tran Thi Huyen, a 20-year-old university student.
Oh yeah, I mean, I forgot to do the usual, like there's no hater segment today, and obviously there's not going to be a radical break today, obviously, so I forgot to do that. But I still don't know why he got rid of the intro. I guess maybe that's just the new style. Maybe it's going to show up later, like in the middle here. You know, kind of like in media res. Is it? Yeah, in media res. Like the others tend to do, you know, Nick Crowley. Next, well, do they do it in media res? Like they shut the video and then, yeah, and then like a few minutes in, they're like, this is the, you know, the disturbing internet horrors of Vietnam, right? They would do something like that. I don't know.
Dong, who owned the apartment, and a woman named Hoang Anh. They had been using methamphetamine together since the previous evening. Hours later, one lay dead, another faced murder charges in one of Vietnam's strangest cases. Nguyen went by the stage name Chow Viet Quang. Born in 1978, he'd spent decades trying to build a music career in Vietnam's competitive entertainment industry. He performed pop and folk songs at fairs and local venues. Some people remembered his songs. They had catchy lyrics, memorable melodies, but he was never actually a major star. Industry reports describe him as little known, despite years of being in the business. And by 2018, Quang was 40 years old and was living in Cam Pha City. He still performed regularly. And in fact, he had a scheduled performance in Ho Chi Minh City. On March 5th, the same day, he would end up killing someone. But he also had a darker history. And in 2012, he'd been accused of raping a 17-year-old high school girl at a residence.
What? Accused of what? Question mark? And he's not in jail? Hello? I mean, he's accused, but
Hanoi. But no conviction appears in public records. But the accusation resurfaced in media coverage after his 2018 arrest, amplifying public outrage. And on the night,
was it just like a fake accusation, or did it actually happen? That's the problem there.
March 4th, into the early morning of March 5th, hours before his scheduled performance, Quang was at Dong's apartment using methamphetamine. Tran, 20 years old, was a university student. Reports would vary about her exact relationship with Quang. Some describe her as an acquaintance, others just as a party attendee. But nevertheless, she was at this gathering, and she was using methamphetamine with the others. And by 3:30 a.m. on March 5th, all 4 people had been high for hours. The methamphetamine had taken full effect. Meth floods the brain with stimulants, causing terrifying hallucinations and paranoia. And in urban Vietnam during the 2010s, synthetic drug use had been rising sharply, with thousands of reported psychosis cases annually. And both Tran and Quang had both been hallucinating that they were being possessed by Ba Cho, a female ghost from Vietnamese folklore, associated with vengeful spirits and supernatural possession. And
I think that's where this is going to go. That's why they're going to end up killing somebody? Question mark. I don't know why it sounds so weird to hear like people using meth in Vietnam. I don't. It just sounds so weird to say like, oh yeah, they're doing this specific kind of narcotic, and it's just like, wait, hold on. I don't know. It just feels weird to be like, oh yeah, they're doing this drug in Vietnam. I feel like I would feel the same way if it's like using maybe it's just meth. Like hearing meth being used anywhere but America just sounds weird. I don't know why it just sounds or feels so weird.
Vietnamese folk tradition, garlic is believed to have protective properties against evil spirits, and is used in some practices to ward off bad luck or drive away.
Sure. I mean, like vampires, right? But is this even further with them? It's just to get rid of everything?
Supernatural entities, both in their hallucinated state, started stuffing garlic cloves into their mouths, believing it would expel the spirit. And what started as mutual hallucination escalated when Quang began forcing garlic into Tran's mouth.
I was going to say they're going to like suffocate on garlic or something.
Would hold her down, clove after clove. He shoved garlic into her mouth and her throat. When she tried to resist or spit them out, he kept going. and the other 2 people in the apartment witnessed it happening. Anne, also experiencing mild hallucinations from the meth, but she was too disoriented, too impaired by the drugs to stop him effectively, and the attempts failed. Dong, also in his drug-induced state, couldn't intervene successfully either. Neighbors nearby heard screams of terror, not just an argument, and 33 garlic cloves ended up lodged in Tran's windpipe. Tran couldn't breathe. The garlic blocked her airway completely, and she would suffocate. And by the time it was over, Tran Tihuan was dead. Dong called the police, and when they arrived at the apartment, they found a chaotic scene. Garlic scattered everywhere. 3 people still impaired by the methamphetamine, and Tran's body with 33 garlic cloves in her throat. Kwong was still in the grip of psychosis, still convinced he'd been fighting off the evil spirit that had possessed Tran. On March 6, 2018, the day after Tran's death, police arrested him. Toxicology confirmed high levels of methamphetamine in his system. The other 2 were questioned as witnesses.
I was wondering if they would actually believe him, because I don't know how the culture works over there. Like, could you actually get off scot-free if they actually believed that she was possessed? Question mark. Like, is there anywhere in the world where supernatural is taken into account for crimes? Question mark. Or is everyone just on the same page of, like, you can't use supernatural excuses for crimes?
They confirmed the drug use starting on March 4th evening, the mutual hallucinations about the evil spirit, and both initially stuffing garlic in their own mouths, and how Kwong had forcibly fed garlic to Tran while they were still too impaired to stop him. Neither of them were actually charged. They were just witnesses to a drug-fueled death, participants of the drug session, but not perpetrators of the killing.
Are they not going to be charged for doing the narcotics? Question mark.
But Kwong was charged with murder. And the case exploded across the media. A 40-year-old singer, a 20-year-old university student, death by forced garlic consumption. Social media couldn't process it. Many social media platforms were filled with outrage, some with dark humor, with memes circulating, joking about the garlic and spirits. And Tran's family was completely devastated. And reports actually indicated that they were very distressed by the online jokes and memes that turned their daughter's death into internet entertainment.
Yeah, you would assume so. I mean, it is kind of crazy. It's not a kind of death that I would ever assume would be something that would happen, like, death by forceful garlic consumption? Question mark. I don't know how you would describe that.
And about just 1 year after Tran's death, Kwong was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 13 years in prison.
Okay, 13. I was wondering how long he's going to get, 13 or life or death, because I don't know how severe things can get over there or not, if he would get death for this.
The case itself still circulates online, and it blends tragedy with complete absurdity. It's a real story that almost feels made up. And now today, that apartment is just another residential building. People live there, unaware or disconnected from what happened there in 2018. Kwong now serves his time in prison. He's sober, yet
Update here. Was released early from prison. Why did I say prison? From prison on January 5th, 2025, after serving roughly 7 years of his 13-year sentence. So he's already out after doing this.
she performs in prison programs, and he even composed a song apologizing to his family. But none of
And he made a song? Oh, that's kind of weird.
that brings back Tran, who died at 20 because 4 people decided to use methamphetamine together, and their hallucinations turned deadly.
I'm still wondering if the other 2 got charged with narcotic use or if they didn't care. What are the drug laws over in Vietnam? Bubble tea poisoning. Yeah, I'm guessing there just is no intro. I mean, that's fine. And he keeps changing everything little by little, right? First it was the thumbnails, which, again, I still don't agree with the thumbnails. I think they are, for lack of a better word, lame. I'm sorry. I think the thumbnails are lame. And now we don't have the intro. But, it's fine. This one could be pretty bad. Bubble tea poisoning. Still have not had bubble tea in my life. Have not had bubble tea, whatever. Tapioca tea, whatever you want to call it. It's just, I don't really drink anything but water normally anyway, so there's that. I've been trying to stray away from it a bit, and I've had sweet tea again recently, but usually I'm just drinking water, so that's why I haven't had this. But I just was not on the fad when bubble tea was really popular. I'm guessing it's just a normal staple thing to drink now because it got so popular. It's just normal to drink, but even then, I did not get into the fad, and it might be something I just never ever end up drinking or having, I guess, because it's kind of like drink and food at the same time. Question mark.
December 3rd, 2019, Tai Bin Provincial Lung Hospital. Vietnam. Nurse Wen Thi Han, 29 years old, started her morning shift like any other day. At some point before her morning rounds, she stepped into the staff toilet. Moments later, her colleagues heard a crash. They found Han collapsed on the floor, convulsing. Her breathing was rapid and labored, and within minutes, she lost consciousness.
Guessing this is the
Despite being surrounded by
poisoning.
medical professionals in a hospital setting, there was nothing they could do. Han died shortly after. The initial diagnosis seemed straightforward: a stroke. Tragic for someone so young, but not unheard of. Her family, devastated and confused, accept this explanation. They refused an autopsy, and Han was buried quickly. And the case itself was closed. Except it wasn't actually a stroke. And 3 weeks later, police would dig up Han's body to confirm what really killed her. To fully understand what happened to Wen Thi Han, you have to go
Yeah, like why did they do that? Because it means something would have happened to make them want to dig her up.
back 10 months earlier to January of 2019. That's when 25-year-old Lai Kyuuties started an affair with her older cousin's husband. The cousin, identified in court documents as DTHY, was married and working as a nurse in the same hospital. Her husband, only referred to as Q in police reports, had begun a secret relationship with Trang in early 2019. And the affair itself lasted about 9 months until Q ended it in October of 2019. And Trang didn't take it well. She felt betrayed by the breakup. The obsession with her cousin grew, the woman who still had the husband Trang wanted. And in November 2019, Trang went online and purchased 2 bottles of sodium cyanide. She ordered the industrial poison through an unregulated platform, likely from a Chinese seller, with no background
Just like easily getting cyanide.
checks and no questions ever being asked. And when Trang bought it, she was actually intending to, but she didn't go through with it. And instead, she began planning something else.
You can just like show that on the screen, what he just wrote. Because obviously he censored himself saying that, but I guess it's fine to have like it written on the screen, question mark, that's fine.
December 2nd, 2019. Trang ordered 6 cups of bubble tea online. This wasn't unusual. Milk tea delivery was booming in Vietnam in the late 2010s, with apps making it easy to send drinks across town. So she took 4 of the 6 cups, using a syringe, injected sodium cyanide into each one. The poison, mixed with the sweet milky liquid, was invisible and undetectable, and the other 2 cups remained untouched and clean.
So I'm looking at these these 3D objects here, because these are 3D models. And if you haven't seen it yet, I started a new series today called the Daily Node. And the node standing for new objects designed every day, something like that. Which it's like a daily blender series where I make a random object, just every day. And today was a bar of soap. And I'm seeing these 3 renders, and you're like, you know what? Let me put boba tea and syringe on my list of things to do. Because I have like a chair, like the stylized chair, which is probably going to end up being like a lot of chairs eventually, right? A table to go with that chair, a cup, well, bottle specifically. One I have in real life. I want to like model that, but let's just put boba tea on here and syringe. I'm writing it down like in real life as like things to make in my node series. Which if you have any suggestions, I forgot to say this in that video, but any suggestions for 3D models to make, let me know. Yeah, I mean, I just saw these things and I had to talk about it.
She ran out of cyanide after poisoning the 4th cup, and it wasn't actually planned to be that way. She just simply used what she had. And she would arrange the 6 cups to be delivered to the hospital, using a delivery service. And when the cups arrived, they were disguised as a thank you gift from grateful patients, a pretty common gesture in Vietnamese hospitals.
So she's going to take out just a bunch of people, just because of being heartbroken, question mark?
The delivery was addressed to her cousin's apartment, but when the bubble tea arrived on December 2nd, DTHY wasn't there. She was actually absent that day. So the 6 cups were placed in the department's communal refrigerator, a thoughtful gift for the hardworking nurses that they could enjoy when they had the time. And Trang's plan was already going wrong, and she didn't even know it. And by the next morning, Wen Thi Han came to work and discovered the bubble tea in the fridge. Someone had left a nice gift for the staff, probably grateful patients, so she took 1 cup. Han had no connection to Trang. She wasn't involved in any affair. She wasn't the target of anyone's rage. She simply just worked in the same department as DTHY. So, she drank the bubble tea. The cyanide blocked her cells from using oxygen, suffocating her internally within minutes.
But did, like what happened to initials? Because I don't know the exact initials. Does initials end up getting the tea, or why do they just end up figuring out what happens before then? How many people are going to be affected by this?
Stroke or a brain aneurysm. She was so young, so healthy, it just didn't make much sense. But sometimes these things do still happen. And after she was buried, the remaining cups still stayed in the fridge. Days passed, and then weeks. And according to multiple reports weeks later, there could have been multiple things that could have triggered police's investigation back into the case. Some sources indicate that DTHY, knowing the affair, may have connected the dots when a colleague died unexpectedly in her department, or whatever the trigger really was. Police were investigating. In late
Okay, so we don't actually know why they found out. They just found out. Question mark. Did anyone else die? It sounds like we don't have information on how anyone found out that she did this.
December of 2019, they arrested Trang. Under interrogation, she confessed. The affair, the online cyanide purchase for the pivot to murder, 4 of the 6 bubble tea cups poisoned, and the delivery to the hospital meant for her cousin, and the terrible accident of the wrong woman dying. And after the autopsy, they confirmed what Trang had admitted, sodium cyanide poisoning, lethal levels in her system. The thing was, Trang had bought enough cyanide to kill dozens of people. She paid for it online, almost like it was just Amazon, had it delivered, and no one asked questions. And surprisingly, the cups in the fridge weren't even touched since then, and after testing, confirmation of cyanide in 4 of the cups, there was 4 chances to kill, and Han had drawn the wrong lottery ticket.
Yeah, I mean, it's at least, you know, thankful that no one else had any of these cups. And yes, unfortunately, the one person did, but it could have been so much worse.
And on July 17th, 2020, 6 months after the poisoning, Trang would finally stand trial for the murder, and the verdict came down hard: death penalty.
Oh,
Came down to
wow. The first guy did not get death penalty, but I mean, I guess that was, I don't know if it's necessarily an accident, a drug-induced manslaughter. Like, we could argue, if you want to give him like the benefit of the doubt, like, or playing devil's advocate, I don't know what you want to call that. But with her, it was premeditated murder that could have been even worse. Like, it could have been like mass murder.
a couple aggravating factors: the use of poison and the random nature of the victim selection. It almost seemed that Trang hadn't cared who drank the poison tea, as long as someone in the department suffered. And the case would quickly explode on Vietnamese social media. The case scared people so much because it showed how everyday deliveries could turn deadly. Bubble tea had become embedded in Vietnamese life in the early 2010s. You could order it on apps, have it delivered to your workplace. You could share it with your colleagues. It was so casual, communal, and completely innocent, until it really wasn't. And it got people really asking, how do we really know if our drinks are safe? You can't see it, you can't even taste it. And by the time you actually know, it would already be too late. And the whole thing actually caused bubble tea shops to temporarily have their sales dropped. But the broader concern of the case was actually about the access. How had Trang purchased 2 bottles of sodium cyanide with no questions asked, and so easily? And what prevented the next angry, impulsive person from doing the exact same?
Yeah, where was she? Like on the Silk Road or something? Question mark? I think that's a defunct, at this point, I don't know if it's still around, a defunct website on the Tor browser, you know, the deep web, dark web, whatever the heck you want to call it. It was a website for buying narcotics, question mark, but I assume you could buy stuff like that there too, but that's all I could assume is like where she got this stuff. She's buying like cyanide, then she must be getting it from the dark / deep web, again, whatever you want to call it.
And in the months after, DTHY continues to carry survivor's guilt. Her colleague died in her place, poisoned by her husband's former lover. The affair costing her her life. Q, the husband, the center of it all, stayed out of public view. Han's family got justice in court, but of course, would never bring her back. She died simply because she was thirsty, because she took a cup from a fridge, and because she worked in the wrong department on the wrong day. And still, even today, people still order bubble tea. Life moved on. Some people remember to check their cups a little more carefully now.
Typhoon Yagi.
Typhoon Yagi began as a tropical depression on August 31st, 2024, forming in the western Pacific Ocean east of the Philippines. And over the next several days, it intensified as it moved west across warm ocean waters. Sea surface temperatures in the region were 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above normal, fuel for developing a storm. And Yagi's projected path would take it across the northern Philippines, and then into the South China Sea, towards southern China and northern Vietnam. Yagi made its first landfall in the northern Philippines on September 2nd, when it was still a tropical storm. Heavy rain caused flooding, winds damaged homes and infrastructure, and at least 20 people died in the Philippines from Yagi-related incidents. Approximately 12,000 homes were damaged. After crossing the Philippines, Yagi moved into the South China Sea, intensified dramatically, and by September 6th, it became a super typhoon. On the 6th, Yagi made its second landfall in Hainan Island, China. The Chinese province was a popular tourist destination, and it saw catastrophic damage. Winds destroyed buildings, storm surge flooded coastal areas, and at least 4 people died in China, while thousands were evacuated. But the storm still...
Thankfully, I live somewhere that this wouldn't really happen, I don't think. I don't know if we've even gotten tornadoes here. Like, in the middle of Texas. Like, maybe there's been, like, tornado warnings constantly. Like, maybe they've touched down, but I haven't seen or heard of, like, any sort of massive damage done to where we live specifically. There probably has been like pretty bad stuff going on, and then of course in Louisiana with Hurricane Katrina. I think people still remember that. So I guess actually there was like massive flooding that happened here in Texas, right? Recently, that actually killed a lot of people. I don't think it again affected where I lived, but you know, it's just in Texas near around here. Like a lot of people died from the flooding. Like it does happen. Like bad stuff, like natural disasters like that do happen, of course. But thankfully, just where I'm at, it doesn't really get that bad, I think.
Still wasn't finished. It continued west, toward Vietnam, still carrying its immense destructive power. And Vietnamese authorities had actually been tracking Yagi since it formed, and by September 6th they knew it was coming. Yagi was classified as a super typhoon, and was on a direct path to northern Vietnam, the most densely populated region of the country. And on that day, evacuation orders went out. Schools closed, airports shut down. The government ordered all fishing boats to return to the harbor and remain docked. And the coastal residents in the provinces began preparing. But evacuations to Vietnam face some challenges. Not everyone has somewhere safe to go. Rural and mountainous communities often lack sturdy shelters. Some residents refuse to leave their homes and livelihoods. And by the morning of September 7th, northern Vietnam braced for impact. Yagi would make landfall in Vietnam during the afternoon of September 7th. Wind snapped trees, downed power lines, and tore roofs from buildings. The storm pushing seawater inland, flooding the coastal communities. In Haiphong, gusts ripped metal roofings off apartment buildings. Sheets of metal flew through the air, windows shattered across the city, billboards collapsed onto streets. Quang Ninh province, a massive tourist destination, saw massive damage. Hundreds of their tour boats were smashed together or thrown across the docks. And at the height of the storm, over 5 million people lost electricity across northern Vietnam. Communication networks went down. Water and sanitation systems failed for millions. And by evening of September 7th, Yagi moved inland toward Hanoi, Vietnam's capital city of 8 million people. And
I wasn't expecting to see like a giant boat being tipped over.
the typhoon itself was weakening as it moved away from the ocean. But the worst was yet to come. The storm had dumped unprecedented amount of rain across northern Vietnam, and in some areas, 500 to 800 millimeters of rain fell over just a few days, meaning rivers that normally ran calm turned into raging rivers. The Red River, which flows through Hanoi, began rising rapidly, and on September 10th, it peaked at levels not seen in nearly 20 years. Water poured over the embankments into the city. The Tai Binh River overflowed its banks. Dozens of smaller rivers and streams across the northern provinces turned into deadly floods. And by September 9th, 2 days after landfall, the flooding had become catastrophic. Water would rush down from mountainous areas in the north, overwhelming the drainage systems and flood controls. And in Hanoi, neighborhoods along the Red River were flooded. Water would rise into their homes. Residents would have to go through water chest deep, trying to evacuate or save belongings. But Hanoi wasn't actually the epicenter of the disaster. That was actually in the mountains to the north. Lao Cai province. In Vietnam.
So is anyone living in the mountains? Question mark though. I'm guessing so. That like that's going to end up being what's the worst thing that's going to happen here. You'd hope like nobody was, right? So there'd be less casualties, what have you, etc., etc. Again, like I think bad flooding like this has happened over here, just not necessarily where I am at, just around where I'm at. And again, of course, Katrina. I think Katrina was the worst one, right, for Louisiana? Question mark. Where, because was it New Orleans or somewhere else? That's just a bowl? Question mark. Like the way like the city's shaped or what have you is a bowl, right? And that's what happened. Is that it flooded from this like horrible hurricane, and it just filled in because it's just one big bowl. And like it's just like people out on on their roofs or whatnot. But I don't know if that even helped back then because this happened such a long time ago that I don't remember exactly how it all played out. But I wouldn't be surprised if even like getting on your roof wasn't enough. Like if you're saying the city is like essentially a bowl, then you assume like the water just might just get high enough to that like no roof will be high enough. Well, maybe like locations that aren't just regular houses, maybe something that's maybe a couple stories, 3 stories, etc. higher, perhaps. But
Vietnam's remote northwest became the deadliest zone of the disaster. The province is home to rice fields, ethnic minority communities, and the popular tourist town of Sapa. It's also prone to landslides when heavy rain saturates steep terrain. And on September 10th, at approximately 6 a.m., residents of Lang Nu village heard a sound coming from the mountain above them. A massive landfall, carrying mud, rocks, trees, and numerous types of debris, crashed down the slope and engulfed Lang Nu village. Approximately 35 households were hit. Entire families sleeping in their homes had no time to escape. Houses were buried under meters of mud and debris. And when rescue teams reached the village later that day, they found nothing but devastation. The village itself had been largely erased, and the death toll from the village alone was 53 people confirmed dead and 39 missing, presumed buried.
Well, that's just a village, right? That's like 60 something from the village, and then who knows how many from just the surrounding areas. So what do you say, like 100 something, maybe more?
Dug through the mud with shovels, machinery, and even bare hands. They found bodies of children, elderly residents, entire families killed as they slept. And Laokai province's total was 179 people dead or missing.
Yeah, 179, yeah, that's a lot. I was just looking up how many people died during the flooding. I think this was July of last year, question mark, maybe? In the Texas flooding, and it was like 135, it says. So yeah, over 100 people died during that flooding as well. So yeah, that was pretty bad as well.
On September 9th at approximately 10 a.m., the Fengchao Bridge collapsed into the Red River. The bridge is a critical transport link, spanning the Red River as floodwaters surged beneath it, and the bridge
The guy looking back behind him
suddenly just dropped. Vehicles plunged into the raging water below, and 10 people were on the bridge when it collapsed.
Is this guy really just got off his bike and is like, let me look? Because like, what if like the rest of the bridge falls? Like, but he's still on the bridge, right? There's still like air below him, so I feel like you need to be like careful. And but there's no self-preservation happening there. Like, probably should just backed up. But like, if you want to look on the sides, you know, like go over here and then look around the corner instead of like getting off your bike and leaning over like that. I don't know.
Truck drivers, pedestrians, they all fell into the Red River. And nearby, approximately 20 people on a bus were swept off by a flooded road by rushing water.
Sun said he was riding his motorcycle on the bridge when the collapse occurred.
And the bus would fill with water as it was carried downstream. Only one person survived. Rescue teams recovered 4 bodies, and the rest were listed as missing. And from the moment Yagi made landfall in Vietnam, people documented it all over social media. People would film from their apartments as winds tore off roofs from neighboring buildings. Drivers captured trees falling across roads. The bridge collapse was filmed by multiple witnesses from different angles, and the video spread across Vietnamese social media within just minutes. And then it soon went international. News outlets worldwide picked up the footage. And by September 12th, 5 days after landfall, Vietnam's death toll stood at 254 confirmed dead.
Oof.
With 75 missing. The numbers continue.
About 250 something plus, almost 100 more missing.
Rescue teams reach remote areas and recover more bodies from landslide sites. And the final count for Vietnam was 325 dead, 24 missing, and 1,987 injured.
That's just unfortunate, right?
And now, as early as 2026, reconstruction across northern Vietnam continues still, but full-on recovery still remains distant. Many families...
So it's still not recovering from this natural disaster?
Displaced by Yagi still live in temporary housing. Some villages haven't been rebuilt. Survivors from Lang Nu live in new settlements built on stable ground. The Phao Chong Bridge reconstruction is underway. Schools reopened, although some still show flood damage. But in the end of this terrifying incident, the footage remains online. TikTok videos of the typhoon continue to surface. Posts online of memorial pages for victims. They still stay active. Typhoon Yagi was the strongest storm to hit northern Vietnam in 30 years, and climate projections suggest equally powerful or even stronger typhoons may strike the region once again.
So at that point, do you just leave? Question mark. And not come back? Like, I don't know if anyone's like thought about just having massive walls, but like, who wants to have massive walls and closing you in on your city, if that's even like possible, if that would even do anything against a typhoon? Because then do you just become a bull at that point? Like, if it's able to wipe out a chunk of the wall, do you just get filled in like a bowl again, just like New Orleans? Or if it's not able to, is it just the rain fill you up like a bowl? I don't know. I feel like the only protection against this stuff is sci-fi stuff, like if you could make force fields so that just like nothing gets in completely, you know, just activate the force field when there's a big storm coming, and then it just tanks all the water and a wind and what have you that would have fallen onto the city. It's just, you know, just rolls right off back into the ocean, hopefully. Question mark. So the entire city just stays squeaky clean. So you assume, well, we don't know. Like, who knows if we can even make force fields, right? If that stuff can even exist in our reality. And then the power to, like, generate something like that is probably just, again, if we could generate it, we might not have the power to do that in this existence. Like, I guess maybe if you can have a mini sun. That's usually in science fiction, just generating a sun. Is it just called nuclear fusion? I don't know if that's what it's called. But it's just generating a sun to generate power. I don't know if we were able to do that in this reality, question mark.
And with recent climate trends pointing toward warmer oceans and
No, eventually, are we able to do that?
stronger typhoons may strike the region once again. And with recent climate trends pointing toward warmer oceans and more intense storms, the question facing Vietnam and its neighbors is not if it'll come, but when and if they'll be even ready for it.
I mean, how do you be ready? I mean, there's no way to get ready except for, sci-fi mumbo jumbo nonsense that I was just talking about. Gold shop murders.
August 24th, 2011. Luc Nam District, Bac Giang Province, Vietnam. By closing time, Ngoc Bic Jewelry. 3 people will be dead. The shop owner, his wife, and their 9-month-old daughter. And the nation will be arguing about what justice means for a killer who isn't.
Really? The whole family got taken out. I was like, who? I thought it'd be 3 random people, but it was just a whole family.
Even 18.
Oh, so that is implying the person who did this wasn't a child.
Who isn't.
Wasn't an adult.
Even 18.
Yeah, wasn't 18 yet.
Luc Nam is market mornings, early shutters. Ngoc Bic sold wedding bands, repairs, and daily trade. And the family behind the counter was known to everyone on the street. Trinh Van Ngoc, Dinh Thi Chin, and their infant, and their older daughter who helped around the shop. Close to 9 p.m., and the last chime of the day, a masked figure enters. And what happened in the next minutes would be reconstructed from CCTV frames, witness accounts, and a crime scene that left no doubt. This wasn't just an ordinary smash and grab. It was violence that emptied display trays and destroyed a family. Within minutes, the counter is breached, the back area invaded, and 3 murders unfold inside a small neighborhood store.
I don't know if I caught whether or not they had an older daughter as well. Like, is she the sole survivor, or is it just those 3 and they're dead?
Attacker also maims the family's surviving child. Several unfold inside a small neighborhood store. The attacker also maims the family's surviving child.
Okay, so yeah, there was someone I did here. So they do have a 4th in here, but they lived, which probably is gonna, they're gonna be traumatized for the rest of their life. They just lost everything to some kid.
Severing her right arm before fleeing.
Severing her right arm. Like, Jesus Christ, what was this guy's problem? You killed 3 and severed her arm off completely? Question mark. I feel like you shouldn't use the word severed unless you mean like it has been cut off completely. That she's like, Jesus Christ, she's lucky to be alive. But you'd argue like maybe she doesn't even want to be alive and having her family taken away from her. Also looks like OBS just crashed, but that's no big deal, right? You see, it's crashed. Who cares? As long as the audio still goes through. Let me see. No, our audio doesn't go through. I have to switch to desktop. Just do that real quick. There you go. But yeah, like, what was this guy's problem? Like, I'm not going to get over the fact that he said severed her arm. Like, hello?
The attacker also maims the family's surviving child, severing her right arm before fleeing. And by the time neighbors realized something was wrong, the suspect was gone, the jewelry was missing, and you could hear a motorbike accelerating into the dark. Police collected what the camera saw, angles of a figure in headwear and a mask, movements between the counter and the back room, and a hurried exit. They followed footprints and packaging, canvas pawn shops and gold buyers, and began a sweep of bus deposits and clinic registries in case the attacker sought treatment for his cuts. Word spread quickly across Bac Giang, and then the entire country. Tips pointed to a teenager from Luc Nam with no prior history. Le Van Nguyen, 17 years old. Investigators tracked pawn items and hidden jewelry, and questioned people around him. Some pieces matched the inventory, but others were
I feel like he's 17. You might as well just bring in the full hammer, right?
found stashed, still wrapped.
I like, does it matter? Like, you killed 3 people and literally cut off another person's arm. Like, that's death penalty, right?
The circle closed within days, and Nguyen was in custody. And in statements, the motive was money. The belief that a small shop held a fortune. That a fast strike could change everything.
What do you mean money? Like, killing 3 people and maiming another? What do you mean money? Like, that's a bit much just for a little bit of chump change.
There was no grand explanation, no conspiracy or cartel. It was just a teenager who studied the routine, watched the lights, and chose a night he thought he can control.
Hello? Question? You can't just end it like that. You hinted at, like, what should happen to someone who commits a heinous crime who isn't an adult yet. And yet you're just like, oh yeah, he did this crime. Goodbye. Hello? I want to know if he got the death penalty or how many years in prison he got. Like, what was his punishment? You can't just say, bring up a topic and not conclude it. Hello? Question? You can't just leave it like that. What happened to him? Question mark. Again, you would hope he would have got the death penalty. And what happened to the daughter who literally got her arm cut off? Like, hello? I need more information than just that. Than the, like, 2 seconds that you gave us when it was at, like, 24? 27? So, like, barely 3 minutes of info there? Come on, man. Anyways, though, like, this was supposed to be a short video, so we don't really have much else to say for this one. The garlic one, I mean, of course, that's crazy. Again, I still don't know what happened with the narcotic users. The bubble tea one, unfortunate that she just did not care about anything anymore from a heartbreak. Again, typhoon, like, what can you do about natural disasters? And then this one, come on, dude. Question, like, really? You're gonna just leave it like that? Like, that's all you have to say about that one? Like, maybe because they were minor, there's no documented information on it past that point, but, like, come on, man. Anyways, so yeah, cuties, thanks for watching. Remember to buy stickers, think about becoming a member, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so we can watch them and subscribers, and don't forget we have a throne now as well, and shout out to the members, EmmyStarr, RaleyDrew, and alexgkiller 880. But yeah, cuties, thanks for watching. Tune to the next episode. Like, subscribe, hype, and comment. You know what to do. See ya.